So in your time, you will read through the aims of the course. I believe that we had discussed that last week. And you can also look at your learning outcomes when you have opportunity to. Let us just look quickly at the course content, just that you have an idea in your mind. And as I said, you will receive this by tonight, tomorrow for the latest. Today, bridges from last week, where we started looking at the nature of the course and festival project. And we will be going into 2 slide presentations shortly that would allow us to complete what you see there as the listing for weeks 1 and 2. Next week, we will be looking at how we then begin to formulate our festival project concept. So that means that from now until next week, you should begin to have a very clear idea of what your festival project idea is. As I've said before, the worksheet that I have placed there for you is to assist you with coming up with that. The following week, I will give another worksheet that will and all of these worksheets are like little games in a sense to get you thinking and to help you to concretize what you need to in terms of the documentation that you will have to be developing and delivering. The following week, we would look at presentations. Now, that week 4, you are required to do a brief presentation on your 1 page. By the time we come to week 3, going into 4, you should have completed it. And so those presentations will be evaluated by myself and Dr. Westby. That is to give you feedback. But it is very important because not only will you get feedback in terms of the content, you will also be getting feedback in terms of your presentation and your delivery skills and how you go about doing that. As you would imagine, class, that is very important now that we are operating in this context because what you present there will make a difference to the viewer. If you notice, for those of you who know me, you know that my course outline tends not to look like this. But because we are now operating in this context, everything that I usually would present, well, I always had slides and whatnot for my lectures, but certainly your documentation is going to look a lot more appealing and more eye-catching so that it's easy for you to read and it's easy for you to go through. In other words, more user-friendly, more attractive, and more convincing. You will be expected to do the same where your presentations are concerned. Note, in terms of your documentation though, I don't necessarily want you to submit your documents like this. The reason for that is because I will have to review at least your drafts because I will have to review, and if I have to make comments, it will be difficult too on a PDF. So anything that has to come in draft, you will submit in Word so I can give you comments. When it's time to submit final, well, you can do it on whatever platform you want and make it as attractive as you want, as long as it is following the template. The ones that follow template, it may be difficult to convert because it's already set, but it's up to you. These things sometimes take time, so I'm just warning you, right? Um, so Dr. Beth Westby will give you some feedback on how you present, and she will then go into a lecture on what will be effective online presentation skills and how you can begin to work on your craft. This is very important class because when you come to your showcases next year, you will more than need those skills. In any event, you will need them when you present your proposal as well. So these things have been incorporated into the course to allow you to develop or harness those skills that are also necessary for you to present your festival project to a success. Right, so it's week 5 that Ms. Debreo comes in and she will teach you about festival project management. And then the following week, we then begin to delve into the proposal. By that time, you would have received the template and we will be going through from there on through the weeks down to week 10 or so in terms of what is required or the components of your festival project proposal. Somewhere in there, you will submit a draft, which I will review and give back to you. You will then present your presentations after having that lecture with Dr. Westby, and you will not have a class then the following week because you will take the time then to beef up, give the final touches to your proposal, which you would then submit on week 12. So that is the last thing that you will do. The university is supposed to be closing off on the 22nd, and of course, I don't like to go right away down, so we will close off on the 18th, a clear week before Christmas. When we come back for the first time, we don't usually have lectures in the second semester. But because of the times, and we want to be sure that we keep you on track with what you need to do, there are two very critical lectures that go along with what you will be doing during that semester that should happen. And those two are done by Mr. Brewer and Dr. Westby. Other than that, you will be meeting with your supervisor, and you are expected to meet with your supervisor continuously. That person, whoever picks your project, would guide you through how you go about building your project. It is important to note, class, that you are the expert here in terms of whatever is the area you choose to work on with your community. The supervisor is there to guide you in terms of ensuring that you keep your project on track. Supervisors come from amongst us, so all lecturers are supposed to know how to carry out a project and how to meet deadlines and what have you. These are things that we have to do all the time as academics, and so they are well poised to do so, to ensure that you take responsibility of being the expert. You are never assigned to a supervisor who is in your field or doing the project, the field that you choose. So, for example, if you are a dance, if you choose an area of dance, it is not likely that Dr. Westby or Miss Johnson would be your supervisor, but rather someone else who is not in dance will be your supervisor. So, this is the way that we ensure that you take responsibility for being that expert on your project. Questions at this time, please. This will be a good place to take some questions.
So it is. So it's so as let me just gonna run through some things in my head just to make sure I'm clear. So the point of this course is that you're using the craft which you would have been developing over the course of a degree to engage with the community for
Sorry,
the
I'm not
for the.
hearing you very well. You have to speak up, Emmanuel. I'm not.
Can I hear me very well? You hear me better now?
Yes, that's a lot better.
Right. I was asking. So the purpose of the course is that we'll be using our craft, which is what we would have been developing over the course of our degree, be it theatre, dance, what be it, and we'll be using that to engage our community of our choice in is it like workshop base over a period of time, over a period of a few weeks, or do we just is the project is the festival itself? So what I'm asking is, are you engaging the community over meeting points over a period of a few weeks and then present a festival, or is the festival about the work you're doing with the community? I don't know if I'm asking that question correctly myself. Um, Hello.
Sorry about that. It's both. It's both. The festival project is a process that encompasses a number of stages. And
Okay,
so from the time, so your festival project starts as of today, right?
great.
But as you will learn today in class, a project is a live thing that encompasses planning. So that the festival project begins with planning, which is what we're doing as of today. The implementation stage of the project now is what will kick in towards the end of the semester and from January. We always
Oh,
students to get cracking, because by then you would know who your community is, and by then you would have had to do some kind of preliminary work to get them ready for whatever it is that you want to be doing. Depending on the project and depending on the strength of your work that you're doing and your progress during semester one, we sometimes allow you to start in semester one towards the end of the semester, like say November and December, to work with your community. The
Okay.
longer you spend with your community, chances are the stronger and richer your festival project showcase will be.
Okay.
You
So the
can
final step, the final is the showcase.
The final step is the showcase, and the showcase is supposed to reflect all of what you and your community would have been doing. So this is where you need to get innovative, and this is where Dr. Wesley will assist you as well with how you can possibly go about showing that as a showcase. It doesn't, it is okay if it's a presentation, but it would mean therefore that when you are working with your community online, you will be recording them so that you can get snippets of what you're doing. It can be, which is okay, you can assemble them all as well as us, because the Teams platform will allow for that. If it is that we find the Teams is too difficult, we can certainly have the showcases on Zoom. I'll be very flexible to things because the Zoom will work well.
Yes, it would.
And yes, the Zoom will work exceptionally well for that, I will well imagine. And so your panel will be there, and you will be engaging with your community right there before our very eyes. We know you all are in separate physical places, but you would have gone through what you want them to do as part of your showcase that
Right.
will reflect the work that you were doing with them. Is that clear to everybody? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
quite excited about this actually. So if I take my radio drama example, and let's say I decided that I was going to work with a group of it could be primary school, okay, because I wanted to create some Caribbean radio drama off of a Nancy or something, because I I also wanted to teach them. I think, Emmanuel, you were talking about something like this last week. I also wanted to teach them something where they learn, some kind of um, moral or ethical kind of lesson I might want them to learn,
Right.
how to be aware of people online, or I don't know, whatever. But the point is, a radio drama could play out on the Zoom as a showcase, so that you
Yeah.
also need to think about the what you have to think of is how you would want to present your showcase, and then locate everything else inside of that then. So for example, if I know I ultimately go in and present my showcase as a radio drama, it means in my mind, I am already thinking, okay, I need about 6 to maybe 10 people or something, depending on the characters and what it is that I am shaping up. Because of course, I did Tony Hall's course and I did Louis' course, so I know how to do a little screenwriting. I understand performance, and so these are the two things I going to do. Maybe I did some course on main campus where I understand about communication. And I also know of young children nowadays, is like what Asha was saying about children. Some children having anxiety, and maybe I whip up my story around that. But it is also that festival project allows for you to be democratic, so you might have an idea of what the subject matter could be, but you could talk it with them and they could help you decide, which is even better, because you know what? They will stay engaged because they chose it. So they could write the story with you. And so they develop the characters along with you. And voila, on your showcase day, you may do a little presentation first, or you may present the radio drama first, and then after you do a brief presentation just to give further context, and that is a showcase. Isn't that festival and celebratory like? Would that not reflect a festival project?
Yeah, it would.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was along the lines I was thinking.
I'm having like problems like thinking of an idea that, in well, at least in my view, can be presented properly in a showcase.
Well, the only reason I did what I did just now was to work the example through based on what Emmanuel was talking. But don't
Yeah.
worry, Nicole. We have the worksheet there, and when we do the lecture, which is shortly, you will get the help that you need to help you to conceptualize an idea, right? Um, it is not always that one might see the end of the journey at first, and sometimes I think in project work that is a danger because, like I always tell people, I believe in this philosophically as well. It is better that you know what you don't want than know what you do want. Because when you know what you do want, you close off your mind to the realm of possibilities that may exist out there. But when you know what you don't want, you are setting a standard. You have an idea in your mind of what is quality for you, or what is ground zero for you. And therefore, in not knowing, it allows you, especially as a creative, to explore as far and wide and deep as you possibly can, to then arrive at a series of things that can be delightful and, of course, in this context, quite impacting. Does that make sense to you all?
Yes, that does.
Yeah, it does.
Right. So that I wouldn't worry too much. You will arrive at something. In your mind at this stage, what you can all quite comfortably do, based on the little bit of my little philosophical point I just made there, is to consider what you know you ain't going to do. So you can rule those out of your mind. And so as we go through the lecture, and you should jot down things, you should always have your pad and pencil there to jot down all kinds of things in your mind that come to mind as we go through. And when the lecture is over, you can go back through the recording, go back through the slides, and see what, based on what you would have jotted down, seems to make sense to you and that you would enjoy. You'll be very surprised. You will
Um,
come up with something.
Dr. Toll,
Yeah.
question. With that, what we may not want to do, is there anything that the festival that we should know that the festival project shouldn't be?
Right. I believe we will come to that in the lecture, but I can certainly jump the gun. Um, your festival project, I mentioned one already, should not be an engagement with people that is only 2 weeks and 3 weeks. You're not going to get much out of that. Your festival project should not be this great grand idea, excuse me, that looks good on paper. When you hear the show, the you can't find a community for it, or you kind of get a community and then they drop out on you because they don't share your vision. Your festival project should not culminate in a show. A showcase is not a show. So in words, other words, a
Okay.
showcase is not an event where people, like a concert. It's not that. And if you do that and put yourself to perform as well, you're going to fail your showcase. Your showcase is supposed to carry us on a journey to show how you and these people have worked well together and the impact that you have made on them, and how they have, what impact they have made on you by showing us snippets in however you plan to do. So even with the radio drama, that is not a show. The ingenuity of it is that it will reflect how they have been able to grow, because you may show us video of when they first started out, or audio, and you could hear that they may not necessarily have been that great, and then over time you would have seen them improve. And it may be that even though they will give a snippet of the drama, you will also have them speak and talk about how the process might have changed them. And you yourself should indicate as well how working with them has made a difference to you. So if you notice, in a showcase, you having to give that kind of information, that is not a show, is it? Because a show would require us to sit down and just watch the performance. True or
And go
false?
home, right?
And
But
go
there is
home.
any. there isn't any engagement with the audience. So a kind of not just a journey, but a conversation happening around what was done, and this is the outcome of.
At least the outcome. I
Yeah.
didn't hear the last.
No. Yeah. It should be something more than just a journey, but as well it would be like a conversation around what was done, and this is what the outcome is. Um,
Yes.
you
Agree.
engage you engage those that represent in the showcase too, more than just the people who are participating in the showcase itself.
Yes. Agreed.
Right.
Does everybody understand that a little bit there?
Yes, it's becoming clearer.
Any
Yeah, yeah.
any questions about that?
Like that cleared it up for me because I was thinking more along the lines of what you're presenting more than showing a process basically.
Yes. Yes, you're going to present, but you're going to show the process as well. You see, it will be
Yeah.
difficult to ask those who just did it about their experience because of the fact that we came out out of the world suddenly because of COVID. But if you have friends that would have done it the year before, it might not be bad to talk with them. As a matter of fact, I will bring one to talk. Oh no, but she have class at this time. Let me see. Ooh, Papa. Lord, I can't get her because she in class now. I will see. I will find out if there's any time when I could steal her. And you see what I'm thinking is that hearing from those who actually got to do it physically, your brain could be ticking as to how can I convert that to online? Ah, I know who I will get to come. I have one. Yes, 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 yes. One of my graduates. Because as a matter of fact, his festival project showcase is actually one of the planks of his business right now as we speak. And he is in the process of converting it to online. How about that? So we will have him come and do a little talk with you all. You would like that?
Yeah. So a nice little on-hand experience, a nice on-hand talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I will have him do that. What are we supposed to be doing next week again? Let me take a look. We supposed to be doing, I wonder if I could get, I will get him come next week. I will let him talk a little bit next week so the mind could start to open. But I do want you all to begin to think seriously about your project ideas for obvious reasons because we need those that you can build from one thing to the next, of course. Make
Right.
sense?
Right.
Uh,
So between last week to now, you would have asked us to think about, do we have to talk about that in class today as well? What we
Not
came up with?
today, but kinda because I do want to take a look at the worksheet. What I will be asking you to do is to see how you can map it onto the worksheet that I gave you. Because
Okay.
that's one of the ways in which we know for sure whether what we're thinking about can indeed begin to make sense in the context of our course, what is being asked of us in our course. You see?
Yeah.
Right. So I think, this is a good place for us to slide into one of those lectures. Let me just reshare the screen by putting that up for you. Are there any other questions about what I was discussing so far in terms of what you saw on the course online?
I haven't, Dr. Toll, I haven't studied the course outline in great detail yet. But I wanted to ask a couple of things. Is there an average number that you suggest we look at?
In terms of the
The
community, you mean?
Yes, in terms of the community group that we engage with.
Well, as usual, if I follow my own advice, I know I don't want two people, I don't want three people, I don't want four people, and five kind of shaky. After that, the sky is the limit. You want to have a healthy number. I would suggest you try to attain at least about nine and even 10, because let's say somebody drops out, if you follow what I'm saying. So if
Yes.
you aim for a healthy bunch, it means even if one or two drop out, you still looking good with your nine or 10. That makes sense? But
Yeah.
Yes.
the more the merrier, because remember now, you are basically trying to make an impact. So,
Okay.
so if it is that you're trying to make an impact, it means then that you would want to have a substantive number of persons to say that your project and your intervention is making a difference to a notable number of people then.
Yes. Thank you. Another thing. So I understand. I got some clarity on the concept of the showcase. It's a journal. It's a process showing the journey from one stage, from the
Hmm.
beginning stage to the end. And I seem to I think I heard basically in gist that there should be some form of presentation at the end, some
Yes,
culminating presentation.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, your showcase is the culminating presentation. But I was just describing to you what that is, what that comprises of. It's not a show. I can't emphasize that enough.
Mhm.
So I don't want you to go off. Okay, so for example, let's say your intervention was to teach students some music using whatever's in their home. No problem, right? But it can't be that all your showcases is them performing one piece after one piece showing this thing. It has to be that mixed inside of there is a kind of narrative that you discuss aspects of your journey as you go along, as they present and show us what they would have learned through it. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
That's clear.
It making sense now, eh? It even clearer now.
Yes. The more we
And you,
discuss it, yeah.
sorry?
So I said the more we discuss it and the more people ask questions, I
Yes,
think
of
it's
course.
yeah, we
Of
the
course.
unpeeling.
That is the purpose always of this particular lecture as well. And as we continue along the lines and you get your course outline, you will have even more questions, and those are welcome. That's not a problem.
Thank you, Dr. Tong.
Yes. Any other questions before we pull up the the slides? I just want to be sure everybody is on the same page. So we good there. Right. Okay. I just have, let me just cut one more thing. I'm going to slice in here for you based on what we just discussed. And we are ready. Okay. So let me share again. Okay. Is everybody seeing the screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is where we're at basically. So the first thing I want us to understand of ourselves within this process is why doing a festival project would be important. And it is in my hope of discussing this, it would also help to open up your mind as to the possibility of things that you could undertake um, as you go on this journey. So, first thing is that what the festival project does for you is that it allows you to take one of those skills, as I was just mentioning before, and pursue it on a project based kind of engagement. And You would find, if you are not already working out there in the wow, in terms of the creative ecosystem, that a lot of the work that we do in the creative industries is very much project based. And you think about it, it's like you do one thing, even if you have a job in the Ministry of Culture, even if you are a teacher, you'll find that you focus on one thing for a period of time and then you go on to something else. Still within our field, may still be related, but it's usually something different. True or false? It's not like somebody working in the bank where every day they go as a teller, they're doing the same thing, taking people's money, depositing, dispersing money, counting it up, and that's it. Agreed? It's not the same. For us, even though we may be working in music, maybe you're a music teacher, or you are a producer. Every project is different because every time you have a class, you have a different set of students. They come with a different sense of capability. You may choose a different body of music to engage them with. Am I making sense? Same thing with theater. So the point is, most of what we do is project based, and therefore, in doing the project, the festival project, give me 1 minute, class. This class, are you hearing me clearly, or is that noise in the back disturbing you?
No, we're hearing you
You all
clearly.
right? Okay. Yeah. So much of the work that we do, therefore, being project based, doing a course such as Festival Project would help us a lot in terms of building our capability and our expertise to be able to push through on that kind of work successfully. So you could see doing the Festival Project course as a kind of a test run, and you're getting a good grade for it at that, and you're getting the feedback of persons with expertise from across the department, so that when you graduate and you go on, you'll have the confidence to build on that. You would have just heard me mention one or two students who have continued on with their festival project, and that's one of the other good things about it, that it gives you an opportunity as well to come up with a project that may then become um, your work quest. You may be someone who is interested in pursuing your own business, who wants to be a creative entrepreneur. Um, and one of the things is, even if you don't pursue the project in that way where you are hands on, the festival project gives you opportunity to become a consultant or an advisor of sorts to others who may be looking to projectize their work in a systematic fashion, because you now would have learned those skills that are necessary. And thirdly, we still have a lot of community-based groups out there, which I think we know, who are still in need of our basic interventions, who are in need of some kind of change or turnaround. I think we would all agree, especially now at this time more than ever, our communities need us, need artist interventions. I know a good few of the examples that we gave earlier dealt with people's mental health and their emotional capacity to survive what we're going through. And we know that the arts plays a very pivotal role, even in normal day to day, in terms of helping people to have a more positive outlook. So, what better way to try to address some of the challenges that people would be going through right now on account of COVID, um, as we can have through the arts. So that is why. So, having said that, conceptualizing your festival project idea should first and foremost be hinged on the following considerations. Remember, this is a personal journey. Yes, you're getting a mark for it, and the doctor tells you this is what you have to do. But if you are to survive it in the first instance, and if you are to enjoy it, which is what we really want, and you are to be exceptional at it, it needs to be personal in the sense that it's something that you want to do, that you feel passionate about, and that you believe can and will make a difference. It should also be something that because you're interested in it, your mind is open to what you will learn in exchange from your community. There is a part in the documentation where they ask you about that when you do your final write up. What did you learn? And as a matter of fact, you can begin to even contemplate that from now, because usually in the question answer segment of the showcase, somebody on the panel always asks the festival project manager, what did you learn out of this process? So it is therefore important that to you first begin by conceptualizing your festival project idea. Sorry, you first begin to conceptualize your festival project idea by asking yourself, what am I really interested in working on? And when you ask yourself about your interests, there are two key things there that you need also to ask yourself as follow up. Do you have the skills to do this? And if not, can you get the skills in that time frame? I remember once having a student who did festival project. She taught some young men at Rosary Boys RC how to produce traditional masks, and the showcase was during the carnival week. And there, there's an opportunity within there for that. Wow, no carnival next year. Anyway, and she went off and learned how to bend wire and how to do paper mache, and she did a third one, bend wire, paper mache. I can't remember what was the third one she learned. It could very well be the welding. But she learned three of the important techniques that we use in mass making mass. And then she took the first semester to do that, and then she went off from December and started to teach these young men. That year carnival was early March, and so she had all the time within which to teach these young men how to do this thing. And of course, her showcase was not only them showcasing their maths, but she also had an exhibition which showed the progress and process through the time that she would have worked with them. So if you don't have the skills, but you know you have the interests and you have the dedication, you have to ask yourself, can I map out enough time that I can therefore acquire those skills that I can execute my project to the best of my ability with my community? You should also ask yourself, who are you willing to work with? Okay, so who you are willing to work with is very important from now, because you don't want, in not giving that proper consideration, that you end up just choosing a group willy-nilly, and sometimes then you don't gel with that group. Sometimes it may be a case where they don't, as I mentioned before, not feeling passionate about what you are offering, or sometimes you get frustrated with the group because they might not have been the group that you ideally wanted to work with, but time was getting away and you needed to get a group. Another reason is,
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
so an example of this would be, naturally you're not capable of managing chaos when it comes to presenting in groups or working with groups, and you choose a group of preschoolers or even infants from like first year to standard one, and they're extremely noisy and and you don't know how to arrest their attention and get them to work and get them to focus, and they're constantly giving you have to spend most of your time doing the work of getting them to focus, and then you run out of time and have to rush something down at the end, and a
Yeah,
lot of your time is spent trying to get them in gear rather than actually working on the project itself. Is that like an example of
it's an
picking up
example of
you know
that.
you're not skilled in handling?
Or
or even
even like that is a good example. Or even like, let's say you know that you're not good with working with young children. Like I always tell people, I could never be a school teacher. I have to be a lecturer. I don't have that patience. I get the sense that teachers always in teaching they always have to be constantly saying, pay attention, stop talking, sit quietly. Don't I can't imagine that. So that if you know you're someone that can't work with younger children, then that should not be the group that you choose just because you know of a group of children. Your girlfriend probably teaches this preschool class and she does not mind sharing her preschool class with you because the schools in any event want the children to be engaging in varied learning right now, so that would be perfect. But you know that you don't like working with kids, but you end up there with that as a fallback because time running out and you need to have a group, or no, you're going to fail this course before you even start.
yeah.
Does that make sense? So you need to give yourself a little credit and really ask yourself about the kinds of groups that you'll be willing to work with, and in so doing, find out if you have the capacity to immerse yourself with the group that you will get their buy-in and support. Would you be willing to, where would you be willing to work? Yes, we know it's online in this instance, but we still have to consider the logistics. So, for example, whereas when we came out of school in March because of COVID, I taught practically anywhere in my home. Now, because it's different and we know that this is what we have to do, I set aside a space for myself that if it is I need to turn on my camera, it's a nice looking space that I am comfortable, except for my neighbor who's insisting on cutting a tree at this hours. Whole day he going. So except for that, I still consider the logistics in terms of being comfortable, having a comfortable chair, contemplating the things that I need to give you all that you too will be comfortable and confident that you are getting quality education just as if I were in front of you, downloading the necessary apps and platforms on my phone. If it is I get caught on the road doing something, I can still begin to teach as I go along. So you need to consider logistics. Safety is still important in the online environment because you want to be sure that whatever group you're working with, when you have them in session, that people can't come into your room and disrupt. So we still, especially when working with children, you still need to get the permission of the parents that they sign off, that they give you permission to work with their kids, and so on and so forth. So in conceptualizing the idea, you want to be sure that when you arrive at your eurekas, that you can tick off the boxes where these things are concerned. Any questions or comments about that?
No.
Okay, great. So if you have an idea, you want also to consider the assignment requirements. You want to consider the due date. So all of these things you think of as you begin to map out what you may possibly do. This is not to be a downer, but for example, you don't want to go and choose this fantastic project idea that you can't possibly complete within the time frame of the due dates, that you can't possibly get fit into what the assignment requires of you. So, for example, festival project requires that you make your own investment into ensuring that your project happens. It makes no sense choosing a project or choosing to do a project in its full entirety if it is going to cost you in ways that you may not be able to afford. And then, of course, it impacts negatively on the project and, of course, your grade. What might be better if it's a big project is to pick out a part of that project that you could comfortably do and pursue that for the course. that you are able then to manage your resources, and you can see now, as part of the feasibility of that bigger project, whether or not this could work. And then when you graduate, you could go and seek funding, or you could invest in your project in full, where of course now it begins to generate revenue for you. Does that make sense, class?
Yes.
And is everybody still with me?
Yes, it does.
Yes, sir, here.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Right. So, one of the things that you would want to start doing is to conduct preliminary research. Ask questions. Ask me questions. Ask your other lecturers questions. Ask experts questions. Ask Siri questions. Ask, I don't know the other one name because I don't have no Android. Ask her questions, Alexa. Ask preliminary research questions. And the reason why is so that you are sure that what you are thinking of doing is a thing. Does that make sense when I say that like that? Because you know, you might choose to do something and then realize, but nobody really has an interest in this. You might feel passionate about it, but who you might be thinking of doing it with, they may not have an interest in it, or you may not be able to find persons who have an interest in it. Ask Bixby. Who's Bixby? I never hear
Oh,
about him.
these Android, Samsung.
Bixby is for Samsung users.
Oh, my apologies. No disrespect to the Samsung family. Right? So, you know, you want to engage in that preliminary research to be sure that what you are thinking of could fly. You know, even if you are convinced them, because you know sometimes people are timid, but you know, could still fly. Like if there are any dancers here, you know, you may have some women who are home and they're working from home, yes, or maybe they're not. Just as somebody mentioned about persons who are unemployed, and you could probably help them to get fit using dance. That's a festival project. And maybe out of it, you're able to develop a particular set of dance moves that are great for aerobic, doing the same thing as weights and whatnot, and you compile it together with them and you do a showcase and, you know, things like that. You know, so when one keeps it simple, to me, it helps as well. You know, um, sorry, before we get there, and last but not least, which is kind of bordering on what I was just talking about, determine capacity. You know, is this an activity that you can competently share with the group? And you know, we really have to think about that now because you will be doing it virtually. So is this something that you will be able to do across the screen, and that they will be able to understand, and that they would appreciate what you are doing? So these are the kinds of things that we need to think of. I think more than ever, because of the context in which we're in, the festival project is encouraging us to really rely on our strengths. Would you not say, class? It makes no sense. And if not rely on our strengths, rely on an area that we may have always been keen on. And so we set out time, like in 2 months' time, to make sure that we learn it and learn it well, that we can in turn impart to that group. Does that make sense, class? What do you think about that?
I think relying on your strength is truly first step of recognizing where your strength lies, because that is where you're going to find out your passion coming from, because you know how to
Yeah.
do it, it's something you're familiar with. It will be easy to become an expert in that particular field. So just because you may have, this is just my thought, but if it is that you know you like the idea of the example you gave with dance and other people, asking those questions you asked before, would you be able to learn techniques in dance and properly execute doing things like
Mhm.
stretches before and after the
Mhm.
proper? And is this something that you know you can do? Being a visual arts student, you have no background in dance, and you just decided you want to show people how help people lose weight. Um, but you couldn't execute it effectively. You may not even see the results you're seeking. I think finding your strength and finding your passion is truly the first step, because that's the only way you're going to get, especially when you're going to get hard. You're going to have those moments
Yeah.
where you're going to feel like you just want to stop, and you have to find
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yes.
You have to find that place to keep you going. I think
Yes.
another thing that's important too is ensuring that you have the support, especially in these times,
Mm-hmm.
in that support group, within that support
Yes.
structure.
Yes. Because just as I am teaching your classes, well, my classes are always interactive, but even more so now, to me, the conversational style is very useful because we can stay engaged. So I need the support of my class to ensure that I push through and be encouraged, that I am delivering to you all what you need. So you too have to think of yourselves in that way when you're working with your community. Another reason why it's important to choose the community well, you know, um, because then their buy-in, as we mentioned before, is what will help carry you through, and that you would then achieve what you are trying to set out through the project. So let's begin. Nicole, this is where we're going to start. You'll be so surprised how well this works. So, the first thing that you do, which is what you see on the worksheet, is that you first have to decide what is your main area of interest, right? And that basically comes from these two categories, two groups of words that I have here. Are you inclined to do something that may fall in the realm of a cultural experience? Is it that you are thinking that you want to try somehow to, because my radio drama could fall either under cultural expression because it's a form of theater performance, not so? Is that not theatrical performance? We're my theater people. Is that
Yes,
is
yes,
that that? Right?
Yeah.
Or if I decided, like what Louis and they have you all do, which is always very exciting at this end of the year, that you get this big group and like you have different groups or something, like how the secondary schools festival goes. And so you end up now with a radio drama festival or something. So then that now becomes a cultural experience. You get what I'm saying? And you go on with your bold face self and you ask, did you sell? Because the Giselle marketing manager is one of our graduates to sponsor you in some kind of way. You could do all of that and we will learn about those things. You see? So there goes my project, my festival project going in a big way. And next thing you know now, well, you have big radio drama festival going every year, COVID or no COVID. You see? And that is something that could go beyond school children. It could end up involving community groups and on and on and on and on and on. So the first thing you need to do is to think about what's your main area of interest. Cultural representation is more about what things signify and what they may symbolize. And there are aspects of the masquerade that and visual art and craft that could easily fall there. So that is where, for example, if you're teaching people something, that is where that might fall. Like we had a festival project last year where the student, her business area, her acumen falls in wire bra. And so she taught a group of people, women who were interested in making that a living, how to properly bend wire to create wire bra for the market, as the market is so very interested in, and they still are, even though there's COVID, because there are other parts of the world that have opened up, in addition to which, of course, people are utilizing private pools and whatnot and still find this an aspect of wear that is still relevant to them. So, the first thing that you want to do is to decide which one of these three areas you think your thing likely to fall. That's step 1A. Step 1B is to decide which one of these areas you believe you have your competence in. So, Interest and competence goes there first. That's the first thing you need to figure out. Everybody understands that?
Yep, yep.
So that is how you begin, right? Then you would use this strategy game. And that is what your worksheet basically has there, right? So I want you at this time, let me see how my time's looking. I know, can I beg for 15 minutes of your time? You're not supposed to have a class at 6, or do you? You're not
Well,
supposed to.
yeah, yeah, I do.
Oh, you do. So they
Yeah,
also
I
they've
have a
eaten
class
up
from
my
6 to 9.
hour. Oh
Huh?
my God, they've eaten up my hour. They're not supposed to do that, even though I have it 4 to 6.
Or
Unless I start, unless I
it's,
start at 3. Sorry?
it's 4 to 6.
It's supposed to be 4 to 7. But because I have found ways to do this 2 hours, I don't drag it out to 3. Remember, each class is supposed to be a 3-hour class.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that's no problem. I can
But
have
we
hold
can go
for 50
to
minutes.
6:15 if everybody is willing. Because I do want you to try it. Nicole, I am especially inclined for you to try it. Right? But whatever you come up with here in the next 5 minutes or so, let me see, it does not have to be the thing that you settle on, obviously. But I want to try it that you could see how it works. So I am going to try it using my same example. So it's kind of like me working backwards, but I want you to see still how it can work. So general area of focus for me could be theater arts or performing art, right? I could have here cultural expression slash theater, right? Remember what was on the slide before, right? So cultural expression, and I'm going for performing arts, but I know it's theater. So I could put that. Agreed?
Right.
So that's my general area of focus. Particular interest, I guess I could say performance, right? What's the next one? More specifically, what am I interested in? More specifically, I am interested in, y'all can help me. I don't know what they call that, if that's something auditory, or if I can say Caribbean drama, right? Maybe I could go like that. Especially in, so this in is usually in brackets. It so you could say especially or especially in. So especially for me, so performance performance plays on radio or online, right? So I'm coming up to my radio drama. If I could say radio drama, I will put that there, right? Precisely in. So again, precisely could be in or among, because this could be who. And I'm going to use primary school children age 10. And then I can have my draft title. I can have either a title or I can have an idea. I could put there a kind of a draft concept right there. Do you see how it's done?
Yeah.
Everybody gets that with Nicole. Let me hear it, Nicole. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the
That make it
like
sense?
the main problem me is getting to that trying to get, I guess, more precise in a way that I can showcase it in the end.
No, take your time. Don't remember, this is a process. As you go along through the course, you will be taught and you will be encouraged to think about how you will arrive at it being a showcase. But remember what we said, if you have the interest and you have the passion and you are seeing how we can connect with the community, that's the first thing. It makes no sense thinking about showcase if it is that we don't even have a community or we're not giving proper thought to our community. Make sense? You understand what I'm saying? So it's one step at a time. Yes, Andrew, you wanted to say something?
Oh, I'm just listening, and my mind is working around what the comments I'm hearing and so on.
Right.
Precise,
Can we all,
just to clarify,
yes,
precisely in deals relates to the actual age group and the target group.
it could be the group, it could be the group of the target. Let's pull up, can we pull up the actual worksheet? Are you able to pull it from where I placed it on the platform?
Yes.
Would you like me to share it here? Would that help? Or is everybody indeed seeing it? Because if you want, I'll share it.
Yeah, yeah, I have it here.
Everybody seeing it? I believe I've just placed it here on the screen.
Yeah.
So precisely with is like your target group, your target community. So let's try, Nicole, let's try. Try getting from 1 to 3 for me. I check in 5 minutes. Everybody try working on it and let's see. We're testing it out to see. But we're testing it out in a way that hopefully we could arrive at something that we feel we may have some interest in. When you go through it, you'll see the instructions say that you can repeat it as many times as you want until you're satisfied with what you're choosing. Okay?
Okay.
So let's try it. It's 6:03 right now, 5 minutes. I'm checking back in with you in 5 minutes time. Let's hear what you have.
This is general. This is particular. This is especially. This is precisely it. And this is the idea. Nice. Roy.
You know what you all can do as well if you want. If most of you feel stuck, you all can collectively work on an example together and then try doing it on your own. So when I check back in with you in 5 minutes, you will tell me what you have. Either one is fine with me. But I do want you to try it before we go off because of course you will be working on it on your own to arrive at your project idea for next week. How are we coming?
Yeah.
Right. 1 more minute. Or were we able to at least get to step 3, to number 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was able to actually make it the project idea.
Good, good. That is good. I'll give the others 1 more minute. Right. Let me hear what you have. Let's see. Who wants to go first? Everybody have to give it a try. Crystal, you could perhaps start to type yours in the chat if you're still having challenges with the audio.
I will take the first one.
Yes, I'll be sending the slides, Crystal. Of course, everything will be placed upon the platform. Yes, go ahead, Emmanuel. Let's hear.
Right. So my general idea, or within the arts and culture, is I'm looking at theater, specifically performing art
Mm-hmm.
and cultural expression. Right. My
Mm-hmm.
particular interest is storytelling and story writing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the right, more specifically using, well, yeah, right, using storytelling and story writing to improve creative writing and writing skills in school.
Mm-hmm. You got plenty there. So more specifically, to improve creative writing and what? And literacy, you said?
And writing skills.
And writing skills. So that is what is more specifically. Especially, let me hear the especially.
Well, actually, I think I mix up more specifically, especially because
So the
I,
especially would have been in schools.
in
You see?
schools, especially in schools, right,
Yes. Precisely
right,
with his who?
um,
Because
precisely
we
with
have all
standard, right, precisely with
with
standard 4 or standard. Well, I'm more focused on the standard 4 students because standard 5 students will be in that pace reaching SCA, but I'm focusing on
yes,
students who are doing SCA. So
right,
improving their writing skills for SCA, preparing them for SCA.
right.
But
Or it
the
could
idea,
even be standard 3. I would even
yeah,
suggest standard 3.
right, and standard 3 students, right?
Mm-hmm.
Project idea, the workshops themselves, will be story quest. So you'll be going through a journey of
Mm-hmm.
improving writing skills, but take it even a step further and actually presenting your work. So presenting what you've written in the form of storytelling. So you write your story,
Mm-hmm.
skills in
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, right? To present, right? So I'm calling that Story Quest. And the and the showcase itself is called Story Fest. So you're doing a story quest
Nice,
on your Story Fest. Story Fest is a
nice.
showcase. We'll show we will show what we've been working on. We look at where the students were at before they started the work. So looking at things like
Mm-hmm.
what their grades were like, in particularly in creative writing and expression. right? And
Mhm.
where they're at, what because they will be going to school in the period of time that we would have been doing this. We look at where they're at now, what are their grades like in the particular area. And in
Mhm.
there as well, we have the students present short story, not even long, like 2-3 minutes, each of them, maybe 2 minutes, just on what they wrote, and just giving them the idea to the confidence to actually come and present their works, openly speak, present.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's
Nice.
story test.
Yes, that is a something. Yes. Good. Yes. Okay. Next. Can I get somebody else? Nicole, what do you have?
Okay, I didn't write anything in for the festival project ideas yet, but
That's okay.
my my general area is performing arts,
Mm-hmm.
particular interest dance, more specific dance fitness and conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
especially strengthening and flexibility through Horton and Caribbean dance, Horton technique and Caribbean dance, precisely
Mm-hmm.
precisely with athletes.
Nice. So, but what is the problem? Good, good. Very good, Orena. So you just have to kind of tow. You see, like what Emmanuel's doing, just start to play around it now. Yes, very good. We will talk some more on that, Nicole. I'm seeing where there's the possibility as part of your showcase presentation and the submission of your project, creation of a fitness video with that specific for athletes. You know, I'm seeing all kinds of things. That is a good one. And imagine if you only use local music or Caribbean music, and you can really play around with that. That's good. Arena,
Um,
anything?
I wrote something. I don't think I wrote this in the right what do you call it sections though. I wrote my general area of focus, performing arts, the particular
Uh-huh.
interest dance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
More specifically, I put movement slash performance, especially
Mm-hmm.
in enhancing body positivity and confidence. But I didn't, as well, I write anymore. I don't have a
So that is actually very shaky. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Precisely with.
I didn't get a, I didn't decide on a target group as
Uh,
yet.
all right. So I want you to work on that especially though. You know, the word especially has the word special in it. So it can't be vague. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? So I want you to think a little bit more on that because it sounded a little, because in my mind, how will you show that or how will you be sure able to achieve that? Right? So give that part a little more thought, but not bad. Not bad. I think if you work on it a bit more, you will get something. Right? Good. Not bad at all for five. And look at it. Is 6 minutes you all had to do this thing and look at what you're producing. Andrew. Oh no, sorry, Asha. I skipped your girl. Sorry, Asha.
Okay. Think mine a little shaky, but general
Give it a
idea,
shot.
performing as theater, cultural
Mm-hmm.
expression, particular interest, like Zoom drama and monologue writing,
Mm-hmm.
more specifically self-expression, dealing with mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, especially coping with anxiety and pressure from social media, precisely
Mm-hmm.
with young girls between the ages of 12 and 16.
I feel your age group a little too broad for that. So you might want to give
Okay.
consideration to coming in a little close because a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old will be experiencing different things. So you might want to close the gap in on that a little bit. Not bad at all. Not bad. Not bad. I think
Okay.
my thing would be, but we'll talk it through. What I want you to think about is what you're using, what you said you're using as the techniques, and for sure that can work to do what you needed to do. Right? There's always a
Okay.
challenge with theater projects sometimes that you may want to try to manipulate technique. And then sometimes when I ask you say, but that's not for that.
Mhm.
So just be sure that what you going to choose. I think inside there, the especially, did you actually identify a particular technique? Is it that I missed that? What is the technique you'll be using to help
Um,
these young women with that? Especially knowing that
the
you have to time.
monologue writing and Zoom drama. That's what I had.
Zoom drama. What's that? Explain that to me, please. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
Google.
So no, well, that was it. Was like a kind of play on the radio drama.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see.
So
I see. I All right, so you need to check and see if your monologue writing will get you what you need. Bounce off the idea of Mr. McWilliams and all, right? But I'm
okay,
hearing something there,
yeah,
right? Very
okay.
good. Crystal, could you type for me, please? Um, what you are thinking of here in the chat, because of course we can't get audio from you unless you've been able to improve it. Kemi, tell me. Oh, I'm not hearing Kemi either.
Missing him now.
Ah,
It's the headphones. Sorry.
yes, a little better.
Okay, so I kind of had two. I know I noted in the last one that culinary arts was one of the things that we could have as a general idea. I had one with that, but I
Yes.
also have one with theater. So I'll do that one first.
Okay.
I had performing arts as my general area of focus. Theater. Particular interest would be in stage crew and management, sort of. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, more specifically, stuff to do backstage, especially in young adults interested in trying to learn about it, and precisely in college students or universities ages around 20 to 25.
So my question would be, how are you doing that online though?
I was considering that's a good one. I was considering making probably like a couple 3-minute videos that it could present as the
Mhm.
info that I
So
know.
then how you're working directly with them? How what is the engagement if you're doing that? 'Cause that's asynchronous.
Yeah, yeah, see where I come from.
What's the second one? So you definitely have to go back to the drawing board. I'm not seeing how that one possible really. I
Yeah,
don't want you to think anything along the lines of thesis because this course is not thesis like in any way.
understood.
What's the other one you're thinking of?
Miss, the other one didn't have as clear of a
As
technique
that,
as, yeah, I
right.
think I missed that one.
All right. So
Work
I
on the
want you
tech.
to think of something else as well, because
Yeah.
I feel if I send you to think on this one, you'll get stuck in a rut.
All
So
right.
think of something else again that is possible. You hear what some of your colleagues are toying with,
Mm-hmm.
um, which all of them so far sound pretty good, sound quite doable, right? So it has to be that you can execute it online where you are actively engaging with your community.
Understood.
Asynchronous was you might do some asynchronous work that can be the bulk of it because then you won't gel with your community, and when showcase time come you will have a lot of challenges that you don't want, you know.
Mhm. Understood. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Andrew, last but not least, tell me.
Okay, this is not necessarily what I'm doing. I just did it as an exercise, just to kind of develop the technique of the
Mm-hmm.
template. Um, performing
Yes.
arts, performing arts is the general area. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the next step, particular interest, developing confidence in the use of the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, More specifically, enunciation and projection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whatever is next, precisely, is it? So especially in the
Especially.
delivery, especially in the delivery of monologues and
Mm-hmm.
the group teens between
Mm-hmm.
13 to 17.
Not bad at all. Not bad. Not bad. Right. Okay. So I think we generally get the idea of how we will be using this. All right. So I want you to work on that for me, please, and send to me by Thursday or so, or even Friday morning, that I can take a look at it. And we will be ready then for our next class to begin to look at our one page, how we begin to develop our project concept, what, why, and who. Okay? Did everybody hear that?
Yes, Dr. Tom?
Right. I
Yes, Dr.
will
Can you
place
repeat? I
the,
didn't hear.
yes, I said that I would like everybody to work through the template there, the strategy game, to arrive at the project idea. And I would like you to send it to me using the same template by Friday morning, that I can take a quick look. And so I will know that we are all on the same page, ready with our project ideas to use that to build and learn about how we develop our project concept, which is our class for next week.
Right.
Right? Everybody heard that?
So we answering the
Yeah.
so answering the points that we would have got any strategy game, and so we
You're
answer them when
using
we
your
send them to you because
You're filling it, you're filling out the thing the same way, just how you call it out to me, you're filling it out the same way you're sending that. That's all I want. I don't want you
so
to
the
write
same
it in a
so the same
paragraph. I
worksheet
don't want
or
you to,
strategy game.
yes, you're using the same worksheet and you're just filling in just as it is there, just as
Okay,
you
no
were
problem.
talking to me. But what I want now is the one that you believe you will be working on now.
Okay,
Right? So we just did this as an exercise to be sure that you understand how to do it.
okay,
So now that we are all, the only person I didn't hear from is Crystal, right? So now that we are sure that we know how to do it, at least how to use the template, I want you now for the week now to work on it, to fill out that now based on the idea, the project idea, to arrive at the project idea that you will want to pursue for the duration of the course. Everybody understands that now? Please raise your hand so I will know for sure.
Raise your hands to show that we understand.
Yes, to sure that yes, that I'm sure that you understand.
Okay, why am I
Asha, you
doing up?
still not hearing or you don't understand?
I I'm clicking on raise my hand, not raising.
Yes, I saw you raise your hand. It's okay, Andy. I'm
Okay,
concerned about Asha. Asha, are
okay.
you hearing me still? Do you understand or you don't understand?
Right. I kind of missing some of what you're saying. I don't know what it is going on with my Wi-Fi.
Right. To repeat, you are taking the template. She dropped. Oh no, she's there. You're taking the template and you are using that to
Mm-hmm.
develop the idea that you will want to do now. And you are sending that to me by Friday morning.
Okay.
The same
Okay.
worksheet, you're filling out the worksheet. Okay? I'm putting it in the chat.
Dr. Tal, information for this course would be in Microsoft Teams or in my e-learning.
No, I don't use my learning at all. So what is, just give me a minute, let me just type this for her first. Right, so I've placed it now inside of the chat. Right, I don't use my learning. What I'm going to do is I am going to place them here. Let's see if we can all access, because we have to get accustomed. If you cannot access, send me an email and then we will resort to that. But I really would prefer that we try and find ways to access the information from here. It's a lot easier. Because because for example, the recording of the lecture is going to be here. The way in which this Teams works is that it goes to something called stream. It will come on the page, the chat itself. So remember, now we are part of a team, so you have to look for the team and go into the team itself to be able to access the things that I will place on the wall. Do you understand? So let us try and see how best we can work that, and we'll take it from there. If not, it may be difficult for you to access recordings. I know from my other classes they have so far, so I know that this is a matter of you all getting familiar with it and seeing how your device works best with it. All right, so these are the little teething things that we'll have to go through in the first instance. Right, okay class, so that's it. Thank you very much for today. You can look out for your course outline, the PowerPoint slides, as well as a recording of the lecture here on the wall, as I just said. If you can't access, send me an email, but please try and play around with your devices and see how best you can access. And that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Same to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.